Hello, and welcome to the Bamboo Lab podcast with your host, peak performance coach, Brian Bosley. Are you stuck on the hamster wheel of life, spinning and spinning, but not really moving forward? Are you ready to jump off and soar? Are you finally ready to sculpt your life? If so, you've landed in the right place. This podcast is created and broadcast just for you. All of you strivers, thrivers, and survivors out there. If you'd like to learn more about Brian and the Bamboo Lab, feel free to reach out to explore your true peak level at www.bamboolab3.com.
Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Bamboo Lab podcast. I'm your host, Brian. And I don't know if I've mentioned this in the past, but I know a lot of my friends and clients know that I've been looking for someone to bring on who kind of exemplifies how a person can take care of their body and their mind. And I reached out to a few people that really wasn't what I was looking for. Then lo and behold, I meet this Mischelle Miller. Met on Facebook, social media, started following Neuro-Based training, her Instagram site, and we had a few conversations on the phone, and I thought, this is exactly what I was looking for. So without further ado, my new friend Mischelle, welcome to the Bamboo Lab podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
I'm excited to share some interesting information.
Well, you have a really interesting perspective, and that's what most impressed me about you. And now that I've been watching your videos on Instagram, I just see this. There's a different vibe around you because so much of your taking care of the body also has to do with how we take care of our minds. And I think that's such a powerful connection for people that a lot of people miss. So I've gotten to know you pretty well over the last few weeks, but can you share with us, tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
So I'm a personal trainer in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I am a mom of 5 kids. When they were younger, I decided to run a childcare out of my home, so I stayed home with them. Well, about 10 years ago, I decided to become a personal trainer, but I wanted to set myself apart from different trainers, but not just that, but how could I help people more, right? Because I would just do strength training with them, but then they come to me with injuries. And I was like, gosh, how can I help that? So I started with just trying to find different things. There's one thing I started, which maybe many people, RPR, Reflexive Performance Reset. Cal Dietz from the cities and another guy put it together, but it's basically breaking up fascia in certain spots and you increase your range of motion. And you can do an assessment before and after, and you'd be surprised how your diaphragm is connected to your hamstrings. You scrub your sternum and boom, your hamstrings are more flexible. So things like that were really neat, but it still didn't get me to the point of how I wanted to help people with more injuries. So then, and I'll continue more on what I did, but I ended up finding something with muscle testing. And I think muscle testing is so great because it's not the muscle that we're actually testing, it's your subconscious is in charge of that muscle and how we can figure out so many things about our body just through that. It's just so neat.
See, that fascinates me. So, because I know every time we've talked, either through text or phone call, the word manifestation or manifesting comes up. And I know you believe so strongly in the way in how we use our minds, not just our bodies, and how our mind, how they just interact so well together. And that's really what intrigued me most about you is that kind of dual set approach you take. So, when you grew, was there anything that inspired you to do this? When you grew up, was there somebody that kind of you followed, or was there something that happened in life that made you really kind of want to go deeper into this field?
No, I wouldn't say somebody inspired me. I'd say I have a twin brother. I had another brother. I grew up in, I don't know, in a small town near Milwaukee, and it was a decent childhood, but I think I just always, I was always very kind, and I was always looking for attention, not egotistically, but just, kids, I want more attention. I want this. And I just think just helping people, and it just made me feel so good, from a young age to help people. And it makes me so happy that if I can help someone get out of pain And they're like, oh my gosh, Michelle, I almost get more excited than they do that they're not in pain. And so I think that just drives me. It's just to genuinely help someone. And it's just so fun to make a difference in someone's lives. Like I had a guy who had sciatica, and I've helped him online. And this was the best thing he ever said. I go, because I can muscle test someone anywhere. You just tap into their energy. But we're all energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would do my muscle testing, virtually. And then I'd say, okay, sit down and stand up. He has sciatica. Sit down and stand up. And he'd sit down. He goes, that's the only way he could tell. He'd get up. He goes, okay, Michelle, this is getting spooky. My pain is going away. And I'm like, ah. And he just messaged me the other day about one of my posts. He goes, that's neat. And I said, how are you? He goes, I'm great. He goes, and there's so many things I taught him. He goes, I think about my toe. There's some toe thing I'll tell you guys about. He goes, and my pain goes, well, I don't really have, and he doesn't have sciatica, and sciatica is something that some people may have their entire life.
Yeah. My mom has it. And my mom is 90 and she's had it now. She's been suffering with it for several years now. And she's tried, a physical therapist coming to the house. She's gone to chiropractor over and over and over. And finally, I think I said, Mom, it doesn't seem to be helping you. She's done stretching and everything. And she just, it still bothers her, so she has to walk with a cane, not all the time, but often enough, because it bothers her that much.
Yeah. Oh man. But with this muscle testing, I always tell people, we're not icing it. We're not heating it. We're not massaging it. We're going to the source, which is the brain. And when we can go to the source of something and we can muscle test that, and that brain's telling me what to fail. And then I can do my process through God. Of course, I would say through God. But man, if we can go to the source and we can get rid of it, it's gone. I had an Achilles issue for 1.5 years, and I got rid of it finally. I'm like, why'd you give me this, God? And figured it out, and I did muscle testing stuff, gone. People are like, no, it flares up, right? I go, never. I got rid of it. It's 100% gone. But it should be. If you go through the brain, that's where it starts. Why don't we get rid of it there? It should never flare up.
Well, let's discuss this muscle testing because I'm still a little that one confuses me. I really don't know what you mean by that. So can you share a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, it's so neat. So, okay, example, I'll muscle test someone. You may have seen a reel on this. And I'll say, okay, just give me your baseline. So I'll have them put their arm out if their arm's not injured, whatever. Generally, I do the deltoid, the arm. So if it's injured, I can muscle test them. I know it's weird, but so I'll say, okay, let me push on your arm. We've got a baseline, right? And then I say your name. Say, I am Brian. And then I'll push your arm down and your arm will stay really hard, really out there. It won't go down. Mm-hmm. So then I'll say, I am Mischelle. And you'll say, I am Mischelle. And your arm will go down. Well, why? Your brain knows you're not Mischelle. And people go, no way. And I go, yeah, because your brain knows. It knows that you're not me. That's why I always go, maybe we should tell the police to do this. You need someone who's good at muscle testing. But you can tell when someone's lying or not. Or what's a threat. Or another cool thing is I'll put saccharin or whatever fake sugar in an envelope, and I'll put maybe pressed up carrots in another one, and I don't know what's in either one, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll have muscle test someone, and their arm will 100% of the time go down for the fake sugar, saccharin or whatever, because that's a toxin to their body. Whereas carrots, you'll see people in the grocery store, maybe you can muscle test yourself by standing there. And if you just relax, you'll say, what's yes? Usually yes is when you lean forward and no is when you lean back. And some people can hold like a vitamin, go, is this toxic for me? And boom, they can tell either way.
Really? Now, how does that, what is that? It's almost like psychic power.
It's your yes, but it's your subconscious. If everybody could realize how powerful our brains are, and I think I told you I was, and this is off of it, like how I just, I used to have a cat allergy. Well, I had a kid that had to stay here for a few weeks with his cat. Well, I decided, I don't have a cat allergy, and because it kind of all of a sudden I kind of felt like something in my eyes. I don't have a cat allergy. That's silly. Never did I once have a reaction. But we choose that. You know, our brains are so powerful that we can really, and that's out of this book, and we'll talk more about it. The Map of Consciousness Explained, like, you know, what, and this is an interesting quote out of it, what is held in the mind tends to manifest, including unconscious beliefs. You know, the culprit was not the world, but the mind. All the negative programming and fearful conditioning was in the mind, and the body obeyed the mind. So it's in the symptoms, you know, as each internal belief was locked and let go, all the negative bodily reactions, diseases, you know, allergies went away. And that's what I did. All I did was, but I believed it. And that's when I muscle test. I say kids because I worked with high school and college football players. I tell them, okay, I had a kid that kept coming back to me. I go, your pain is gone. Why do you keep coming back? He goes, Mischelle, it takes 8 weeks to heal a hamstring. I go, but when I'm working with you, it's getting better, right? He goes, yeah. I go, now let me ask you this. When you go home, do you think, oh, I think it's coming back, I'm worried? He kind of looked at me, he goes, yeah. I go, well, then you have nothing to lose. If it's getting better here, right? He goes, yes. I go, then your homework is to go home and think about football plays, think about school, think about your family, but don't think about that because it's getting better. So he came back the next week and I go, how's your hamstring? Favorite words ever. You were right. He goes, you were right, Mischelle. I just it went away. It's at a 1. And I said, well, and I always tell people, well, what do you eat? You know, I had many people that's at a 1. Football players, they can't just eat fruits and vegetables all day, right?
Right.
We get inflammation from food. So I guarantee you that kid is eating 5,000, 10,000 calories a day of probably not the healthiest food. So I always tell people, I had a woman who was at a 1 or a 2. I go home and quit eating carbs. She goes, it went away. But she has too many cravings that she's like, it's all, I'm still going to eat it. But that's huge too, but it goes away. It does 100% because it's the brain. But that's life. If we keep doubting things and thinking bad things are happening, well, what do we manifest? That's energy, right?
Right.
We kind of bring that in our worlds. The mind is powerful.
It really is. And the more you talk about this, I was telling my son, this is probably 4 months ago. The way I train my body is really just, I have incremental, I let myself grow incrementally every day. I add a second to a plank every day, or I add just another 100 yards to my ruck every day or whatever, and just a little increment. And that I like that style. I really do. It works for me. But it also at times when I'm lifting weights, it limits me. And it was probably 4 months ago now. I was lifting in the garage and I track, okay, for curls or press or whatever I'm doing. Here's what I did last week, so I'm going to do a little more. And I have those adjustable dumbbells, those, I don't know whoever makes them, whatever company, but I think they go from 7.5 pounds to 55 pounds each dumbbell, and you just rotate this little knob.
Yeah.
And I had forgotten to move them the night before, or the last workout, so they were at about 20 pounds heavier than the potential work the workout I was going to do the next time, my first set. And I just had my mind, I'm going to do this set of 7, and I did 3 or 4 sets of 7 of this particular weight. And then when I got done, I went to record it, and I said, "Oh shit! it wasn't 20 pounds. It might have been 10 or 15 pounds to each dumbbell, but I did it." And I struggled with it, but I struggled just as much the 2 days prior with 10 or 15 pounds less on each dumbbell. But my mind thought it was that lower weight, and it was just doing it because I didn't give it a doubt. I knew I could do 6 sets or 6 reps, 4 sets of 6 or whatever. And I'm like, that right there is the mind telling me what my capabilities are, not what my self-limitations were the 2 days before.
I love that story because I had a woman the other day. I just love that story. The power of the brain. She was having pain, right? But she would roll over in bed and have pain. And then this is the greatest thing ever. She goes, yeah, I rolled over in bed today. And I went, I rolled over so quick, I couldn't even think about bracing. I didn't have any pain. And I go, that's the power of the brain because you're bracing. You're expecting pain, and then you get it. But when you're not paying attention, wow, I didn't have pain, and your brain to do that, like It didn't know. I just love that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
one of the things that I've learned in the last, well, it would be 4 years ago now, 4.5 years ago, my middle bonus son got married in Traverse City, Michigan, and we were at this. It was in a vineyard, in a winery, or in a vineyard anyway. And anyway, all the guys, their dad, I'm their stepdad, and their dad, all the brothers and all their friends. Before the wedding, we were all at this kind of lodge, playing football, drinking some beers, and I could tell my middle Evan was a little nervous, and so I went up to him and goes, yeah, I'm scared shitless. He was getting married that day to the love of his life. Now they're married with a baby or a young little boy and another one coming. But I said, well, tell yourself this. Say this to yourself. Say, I'm ready, I'm excited, and I'm grateful. And just keep saying that in your head all day long. Well, I just made that up on the spot. And then he came up to me after the wedding, and she came up to me after the wedding and said, I don't know what you did, but that changed everything. I was ready, I was excited, and I was grateful. So now I teach that to clients when there's this presentation or a sales pitch or a big meeting, or they're going for an extra long run or whatever. So I started doing that before I go to bed. I tell myself, I'm ready for tomorrow. I'm excited for tomorrow. I'm grateful for tomorrow. And then when I wake up, as I'm crawling out of bed, that's the first thing I say out loud is I'm ready for today. I'm excited and I'm grateful. And that little switch, that easy three statements makes a massive difference in how I sleep the night after I say it, and then how I get up in the morning and proceed to my day. And that's kind of that same thing. You're just telling yourself what you are rather than feeling what you are, rather than letting the world tell you what you are. I think we have to create that for ourselves. That's my thoughts.
Right. And you can't think negativity if you know what, you're kind of programming that brain. This is the thoughts I'm going to have. Mm-hmm. So you don't let anything else in. Mm-hmm. So it's going to eliminate any chance of anything else because you're just going to focus on that. There's no chance for anything else. I love that.
It's simple. It really is.
Yeah.
So that's what muscle testing is. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And it's simple, but it's not easy.
I think anything's. That's funny you say that. I think anything in life is as hard or easy as we make it. What's our perception? Now, I think anyone could do muscle testing. You just have to practice it and get better at it. I think that, I don't know. I don't, through God, that's where I feel like everyone has to have the right intention. And, I read that in another book. If we have this intention of, I'm doing this to make money and this better work, and you're threatening and it's not going to work.
No.
You have to have, and I'm not a placebo, but man, am I positive and I enjoy what I do. And that's a big part of any even job. You walk into any, say, a physical therapist or a doctor, and you walk in and you can tell they're grumpy or short with you or mad, or you know what I mean? I just don't do that because energy is big, and no matter what we do in life, and but we have that unconditional love too, and that genuineness, and really want to help someone. That's 90% of it, and I had a big post. It was now I've won at 1.9 million views about me muscle testing on the sidelines. And man, people are mean, and some, not all. There's always a few kind of stinkers. I just quit reading the comments, and they're like, what are you doing? And are you a placebo? And I said, perhaps I am. And then I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought it was. And I'm like, no, but I think life is a placebo. I think if we feel okay, so through my doctor, I went off of Adderall, I went off of antidepressant and caffeine and throughout weeks, but the final week I threw in the caffeine, but I was in fight or flight, but I believed I needed that. I believed that was important to me, and I don't need it, and I just think our belief system creates our world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bear with me. I'm just writing down what you just said, because sometimes I find these nice little quotes that I like as potential titles.
Okay.
AI always gives us suggestions for titles, but a lot of times I don't choose what they usually come up with pretty good ones though. Hey, I have a question for you. I see some of the stuff you do, where you're hanging, from the bars and you're doing leg lifts and things like that. What do you think about hanging itself? Like I got a chin up bar in my house that I hang every day from it. I just let my body weight just linger there. What have you heard, or what do you think about that for like my shoulder? It seems to help my shoulder. I mean, I just started doing it 2 weeks ago, but I shouldn't say it. I've been doing it, but I've been doing it like on the trail, run up to a tree limb, or if there's a jungle gym around, I'll do it, but I wasn't doing it every day. Yeah. And it's also good for decompressing the spine. What do you think?
You know what? I'm going to always say this. I think if it feels great for your body, do it. Because someone might be too weak and it hurts.
Yeah.
Some people it feels great. I feel like it feels amazing, but I'm always all about go with your gut. Even, like I broke my leg and I healed, bone fully healed in 4 months. And I'm 57 years old. Like, why? Why not? Because I knew and I didn't have physical therapy, but I knew what worked for my body. All I had to do, the doctor said, stay out of pain. It's going to be achy with me with getting range of motion. I have full range of motion, but listen to your body. And if it feels good,
just
do it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
A funny story. When I got a new ruck vest, maybe 4 months ago, and it's a different style. And so the ruck vest, it's a weighted vest, and this one has 2 snaps in the front. The other one only had 1. So the first time I was running with it on, and I ran up these chin up bars, it was on a course for like I don't know, what do you call those courses where you stop and you can do push-ups and sit-ups and pull all that? There's like 10 stations.
Yeah, like a fitness course.
Yeah, like that. I don't ever do it, but I don't do the fitness course. I just run it. But I went up to the one thing, and I was hanging. Well, I didn't really realize that because this ruck vest was different, it had an extra hook up, like a clasp up front. It started choking me. And I was like, that's something that feels really weird, but I couldn't tell what it was. And I just let myself hang there. And pretty soon I started blacking out. And I'm like, so I let go right away thinking, I don't know what's going on. I realized it was choking me out. I mean, that was fine after that, but I thought, man, if it would have a few more seconds, I probably would have blacked right out, and somebody would have been running behind me and found this 58-year-old bald man with a heavy vest around his chest, laying there limpless underneath a monkey bar set. So.
Wow.
That's why I decided to buy one for the house, so that way I wouldn't have to have my ruck vest on. And I do have a house ruck vest it only has one last. Well, I can use that one when I hang from here. But anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
So during this process when you've been doing this neuro-based training, and you've been really digesting all this material and testing and things, what's been your greatest learning that really surprised you?
The greatest learning was actually just, I read part in this book about how just asking God for help. Okay. And every time I do it, and ever since then, man, there was not 100% of the time I muscle test someone virtually, I fix them through God. And whenever I do muscle testing, I'm able to heal them, and that's through God, though. And I'm not super religious. Like, I try to go to church every week. I don't know, but boy, I know He's number one, and I know when I pray and I include Him in my life, that was the turning point. And not worrying about money. I'm like, my twin brother would be like, well, you gotta get paid. And I go, I know that. Okay, one time, this is gonna make me cry. I was training some people outside, and this woman, she had to be close to 80. She came to the class. It was a parking rec class. It was a neat class. And afterwards, she's like, gosh, I've been having this pain in my cheek. She had like a biopsy. It's been going on for a week. And I go, can I just try this muscle testing with you? And I mean, I just met her strength. So you very lightly test. And, I just did a few things, and I go, how does it feel? Oh, God bless her. She goes, I don't really feel it anymore. I literally cried and hugged her, because you know what? I could keep trying to go, well, this is what I charge, come to my office or blah, blah, blah. I don't mind helping people, and I'm not putting people at risk, because you can't with muscle testing.
Yeah.
You either your body knows or not. You're not going to hurt someone. But boy, just getting rid of pain, that was just so sweet and neat, and things like that.
Yeah.
Like I would ideally, if somebody wants to hire me in some desert island and just pay me with food and water, and I'll stay there and fix people all day for free.
Well, you can tell when we've had a few phone conversations, and you can always tell that when the person is doing it for self-promotion or for somebody who's doing it because of it's a passion for them and it's a purpose in their life. And that definitely shines through with you. And what I find too, though, is I think a lot of times, I know for me, this is my anecdotal story. When I started doing what I'm doing now, a little over 29 years ago, I was doing it for money. Like I was doing it because I thought I had a gift. I thought I was arrogant. I was insecure. I was inexperienced. So I thought I was the gift that they needed, and I charged them money for it. That's migrated out of my system a lot in the last 29 years, to the point now where over the last maybe 10 years, it's been mostly, I just like to help people. I mean, there have been times in my life where I didn't want to do coaching sessions or go do a speech and that's when it was. It was when I'm doing it for money. And it wasn't, I care about my clients, and I've always loved what I do, but the money was a major aspect of it. And it's almost like when the money stopped being so important, I started liking my clients more, so that I'm actually excited when I talk to my clients. And I bet there's 5 or 6 of my clients that at the end of every call, we both say, I love you to each other. That never happened until 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. And I can count right now 5 right off the top of my head that I can think of right now that every week with I love you, which to me, that makes, now it's like I could do this job till I'm 90,
Yeah.
Oh, I had a question for you, Mischelle, and where was I going to go? Oh, this is what it was. So I know you say through God. Now I know, I don't know the religious makeup demographics of the listeners out there. So what if somebody is atheist or agnostic or some other religion? Is there something they could say think other than through God if that doesn't make them feel comfortable?
Yeah, I just think there's something out there more powerful than us. And yeah, so just something out there that's more powerful than us, that we believe that is making I don't know, that's just making this world amazing. It's the book that I'm reading too. Points to that too. I don't know. It's called The Course in Miracles, and it's
you said
Jesus went through this woman, and Helen Schaffman, I think I'm saying her name right, but she's an atheist. She didn't believe in God, and I believe that's why he went through her, so people would go, because it was nothing about her, and her name is not on this book whatsoever, because she didn't want it about her. But because even if you don't believe in God, there's something up there more powerful and amazing, but wants us to be happy. We put fear in us. God, or whoever it is, didn't create us thinking we should be fearful, we should be mad, we should be angry. That's human created.
I agree. Well, what I tell some of my clients who are atheists is, and we do like a manifestation, I guess, exercise, for lack of a better word, something I call the true peak identity, that most every client starts that's the process I start with almost every client. It's for each person to determine what they think the best version of themselves is in the major roles they play in life, like father, son, husband, CEO, whatever. And then we have them repeat certain things every day to themselves out loud. And some people talk about God. And if some people say, well, Brian, I'm kind of a non-believer. I say, well, do you believe in the universe? Yeah. Do you believe the universe is powerful and creates all this? If that's what you believe, just say the universe, or say source. Use the term my source. All things through my source, or all things through the universe. If you don't feel, now most people feel very comfortable saying God, but there are some people out there who I think when I teach some things, and because I think manifestation is a lot like praying. And I never believed in the power of prayer before, ever. And I've never really talked about my religious beliefs on the podcast, but I never believed in the power of prayer. It wasn't until I started studying neuroscience or manifestation. That's when I started realizing that that's what prayer is. Prayer is sending out this energy out there to your source, to your God, to the universe. And nothing bad can come out of that. Only good can come out of that. So it was actually through science, a study of certain sciences, that made me believe in God and believe in prayer, which it was so it was really odd, where a lot of people think science will turn you away from God. No, if you really study science, it'll turn you toward God almost every time.
Right. Yeah.
And I have a really good friend who is the head of cancer research at University of Michigan, hardcore scientist. I mean, talking diehard scientist. And I asked her one day, because she was faith-based, and I said, well, and this is when I was agnostic, or maybe I was still atheist at the time. I'm not sure, or identified as atheist. I asked her, how do you reconcile that you're a top scientist at a major university and you believe in God? She said, Brian, it wasn't until I became a scientist that I believed in God. She said, almost every scientist or research or lab technician in my department is faith-based. And many of them were not before they came to the university, or before they started the study of science and medicine. So I thought that was fantastic. That was kind of one of my several turning points for me, to look into science a little bit more as evidence for God.
Yeah, so there's, if I can just quick read this quote today from it. Wow. Okay, this is a lesson in the A Course in Miracles. It says, I am not the victim of the world I see. How can I be the victim of a world that can be completely undone if I so choose? My chains are loosened. I can drop them off merely by desiring to do so. The prison door is open. I can leave it simply by walking out. Nothing holds me in this world. So only my wish to stay keeps me a prisoner. It's amazing what our mind creates. You know, if we go, oh my gosh, this world is so full of violence and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like we can choose. In fact, this is Jesus's words through this woman. She scribed it.
I gotta read that book. I know I put it on my cart for Amazon. I just haven't bought it yet.
And one more, I've invented the world I see. I made up the prison in which I see myself. All I need to do is recognize this, and I am free. I've deluded myself into believing it is possible to imprison the Son of God. I was bitterly mistaken by the belief, which I no longer want. We can decide. We can decide everything in our world.
Yeah.
What do you believe? Yeah.
I think some of it, I like what it said about this. I can think of the world as evil, or, blah, blah, blah. And the media has thrown so much at us, obviously whatever bleeds leads. That's why I try so hard to tell my clients, don't watch the news. Fox, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, PBS, NBC, all of them are just throwing garbage at us. And when we internalize that garbage as actual facts, we would think the world is a horrible place. We are living in the most accepting, tolerant, safe moment of world history. Now, there are pockets of bad things going on in the world, but overall, it's never been a better place or a better time to live, ever. And every study, read anything by Steven Pinker, he goes into this in detail as he researches it. The world is a much better place and going in a better direction. But, I read this thing, Mischelle, a couple of years ago. The study was done, I think, 9 years ago. I could be off a couple of years, at the University of California, Berkeley. And they did a study on that. For every one positive thing we notice in our world or in our lives or during the day, we notice 9 negative things. So when we notice these 9, because of we have this amygdala in our brain that's designed to detect fear, and we put ourselves in situations like in front of the TV or in front of YouTube, which that's my guilty pleasure, where if you let your algorithms kick in, certain algorithms are going to show you the worst stuff of humanity. And then you notice that when you're out there driving, you don't notice the 57 cars that went by you politely and respectfully. You notice the one who tailgated you on the way to work. So there's your one negative, but you didn't see all the 55 positive experiences. And one of the things that's helped me with that is a process that I fought for years to do, because I thought it was stupid, was just keeping a gratitude journal. And I've shared this with
Yeah.
many times. It was 5 to 6 days a week. One of the first things I do in the morning in my hour-long routine is I write down 5 things that I'm grateful for at that moment. And a lot of times, like today, it was that I was at my daughter's house on Saturday. I was happy that my grandson Jack came over and sat next to me. That was one of my things, you know. I was happy that my son
Yeah.
and his daughter and one of their friends came over on Saturday, and I bought everybody Thai food. That was a happy thing for me. You know, they're almost all little things. They're not big things. I'm happy for the warm coffee I'm going to have in my hand this morning, or the fire going, or whatever, you know. And I have found by the last 4 years, I think I've been doing that consistently. I have noticed that I don't really see a lot of negative things anymore. I don't get in bad moods even close to what I get. I'm more patient with people. I'm not patient with certain things. Like I'm not patient trying to set up a computer monitor or trying to, you know, get my new Ring doorbell set up. Those things I'm never patient with, but I'm patient with people. And because you start noticing that there are so many more beautiful, good things out there if you train your mind to notice them, because they're there. You just didn't notice them. You just
Right.
saw the one negative for every 100 beautiful things, and you turned it around and came home and thought there was only one beautiful thing and 9 negative things. So, that's a lot what you do with your clients.
Well,
Yeah.
the way I look at life is I don't see anything as good or bad. I see it as is. And what's our perception in life? There's always going to be a silver lining. You know, my Jeep broke down one day and someone goes, "How's your day?" I go, "It's a great day." You know what? That's a vehicle. It's not someone dying of cancer.
Right.
I'm grateful to have that wonderful vehicle. Did it inconvenience me? Yeah. But you know what? It, for whatever reason, maybe it stopped me from having a car accident from where I was going to drive. You know, like who knows?
Yeah.
Or the train will stop me. My girlfriend and we laughed. She goes, "You know, that train stopping you probably stopped you from getting in a car accident." You know, when I was late for work, and I went, "No, you know what? They were okay with it. Maybe they weren't happy, but they still love me and they still want to train with me or whatever." But I always look at everything as it's a lesson.
Yeah.
You know, I broke my leg. Now, once did I say, "Oh, why did I break my leg?" I cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. And I think why I broke my leg was I had a lot of emotions to get rid of. And it taught me how to heal quickly. And maybe it taught me to help other people to heal quickly and teach them what I learned. And it taught me to slow down and enjoy life more. There's so many lessons in everything, and it is to what it is. And I think if the world could look at things like that, man, we'd have a really great world, because nothing is bad, nothing is good. It just is. But maybe some things are great and some things aren't. But there's always a lesson.
Well, our perception is so powerful. Have you ever listened, or not listened, but followed this guy on Instagram? He has a thing called Vibe Source, VYBE Source. He's got millions of followers. He just puts one quote up a day. It's a lot about this, you know, kind of like things are good, and you know, you're just lean into it, lean into the flow of life. Don't try to fight the things that happen. Blah, blah, you know, just a lot of really powerful, good, deep, emotional and mental quotes. And I've followed him for years, but then I actually coincidentally ended up interviewing his father on a whole different topic. And he was telling me that his son's a pretty successful social media guy, but he does something. This young man travels the world, and he writes as he's traveling. But I'm like, I follow that guy. But his stuff, it's my favorite, like, daily Instagram quote. There's a bunch of them that I follow that I try to read every day, but Vibe Source is a really good one.
Yeah. That's really tough. Well, then there's that. What is it? There's another thing. Let them. And, you know, let them be them. I think my view of let them is, you know what? You have this energy level. I have this energy level. And if they don't meet your energy level, it's okay. It's not about you, and don't take it personal. And it wouldn't have worked out anyways. And their energy level will meet someone that they adore, and same with you. And if everyone could look at things and go, that just wasn't going to work out. We just didn't energetically, we didn't meet, you know. Or my girlfriend would always say, you know, it didn't work, so go find less. You know, tell them that if I'm too much, go find less. But you know what I mean? Like, and don't take it personal.
Yeah.
And don't lower your energy level, and don't diminish who you are, because it's okay. Just let them.
Mm-hmm. I think that's I know Mel Robbins has that book out, Let Them. I started reading that, but I didn't finish it. I found she could have written
Yeah.
that book in like 10 pages, and she just kept telling the same thing over and over. So I got the gist of it. And I like
Yeah.
it. I like that kind of that content. It reminds me a lot, you and I have mentioned stoicism, in our conversations. It reminds me a lot of a little bit stoicism.
Right.
Just there are things that are going to happen, and your perception, and your reaction to them is going to it's going to make all the difference. I think we
Yes.
saw that with, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go with COVID.
Yeah, I think we saw it with COVID. I think some people, took COVID and locked themselves. And I'm not judging either way. I know how I handled it. I handled it with like it was we're going to make my son and I are going to make this time into the best time of our life, and we're going to use it as an opportunity to become better people. And I felt like not that COVID was a good thing, but it was not for us. Developmentally, for both of us, it was a good thing. Like we came out of it better, stronger, where a lot of people came out weaker and just more haggard from it. And it all became in how we went into it with that perception of how you're going to handle this situation. What's your reaction to this? And God, that's powerful stuff. I just push people. It's pretty simple, but we just are not trained as such, and that's why it's so good that there are people like you around that can really get this message across to people. Let me ask this question, because it's the question I tell everybody. You don't have to answer it, but if you have something you want to share, that'd be great. What is one of the more difficult things you've gone through in your life, and then how did you overcome it? Did you have a certain tool or technique or strategy you used to overcome it?
I don't know. I think, breaking my leg, but also just going through this divorce was not so much hard for me, but it was hard for my kids.
Yeah.
And just, how did I overcome that? Well, I cried a lot, and emotions it's, I think people would be surprised how much emotions, they're energy, and we're energy, right? And emotions do cause pain. And if we can get rid of that, many times people go, oh man, after I cried, I felt so much better. Well, you know what? It goes to the physicality part of your body. I truly believe that's why I broke my leg. I had 30 years of not a great relationship and a marriage. And I truly believe that there is in repressing emotions. Don't repress emotions. Talk about them, think about them, forget it, get rid of them, then you're done. You don't have to do any more. I believe there was so much stuck in me. I just cried for hours and hours on end, and with my kids, and I felt so bad for them. And I truly believe it's all connected. And if we can, there's many books. There's a book called The Emotion Code. Mm-hmm. And that is a really neat one about taking away emotions. And you'd be surprised things that I got rid of. I was like, who am I? That. And I think breaking my leg was like, it was painful. I've never had an injury. And then I fell down walking down a steep driveway, my leg went out at 90 degrees and fractured my femur, had a titanium rod and 7 nails. But that was just determination and just knowing. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, this is going to be better. And at 10 weeks, I'm going to walk in the doctor's office without crutches. And I did. And at 12 weeks, I went in, because at 10 weeks, they're like, you can do whatever you want. So I biked up our bluff 4 days in a row. All of a sudden, I had a screw at the top of my leg holding my titanium rod in. And it had been coming out, right? So I went in and I said, pass. And me and manifesting, I'm like, I don't have pain. I'm like, I should just go in. And sure enough, I go in and the doctor comes in after the x-rays. She goes, what do you think happened? I go, my screw's coming out. She goes, we're taking it out next Tuesday. It wasn't meant to be. So she said, what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to take that screw out. And it was only hanging by a thread. And she said, we're going to check that bone. And if it's not stable, we'll put another screw in. They went in and it was 100% healed. Wow. And so afterwards I said, now, do I have any limitations? And he said, Mischelle, I tell any football player after they're healed at 12 weeks, which is you healed like a teenager. And I go, I did research on that. And he goes, I just tell them you can do whatever you want. I go, no limitations. He goes, you can do whatever you want. And then I kind of AI'd, like, what is the power of someone healing so quickly? Being out of fight or flight, you're not in constant threat. You have that. So if your body's not always threatened, you're going to heal quicker, right? And just doing my exercises every day, but believing. I'm 57 years old. I went in at that 12-week visit, then after that, and I literally kneeled down on the ground, sat my butt to my heels. Then I stood up and the doctor went, first of all, no one can get up like that. You broke your leg. He goes, and I said, how did I heal? This was another visit. I go, how did I heal compared to like a football player? He goes, you healed like an elite athlete. You healed as fast as you could possibly heal, but I knew it, not arrogantly, but through God. And I knew, why can't I? That's what people, when your doctor says, you're going to heal in 1 year, Mischelle, you're going to be doing everything you did, not until then. And I said, no, I'm not. I'll do it at 12 weeks. But why does everybody think that they're just like every other person? We are individuals. We have a brain. We have a body. We can do what we manifest, right? Why can't we manifest to heal quicker?
Right.
So I did.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly impressive. And I know we're going to steer people to Neuro-Based training, your Instagram page. I want to get people over to that and then start following you and just watching your videos. Just watch one a day. I mean, you got a lot of videos up there.
I really try to get stuff out there.
What would you say are some, if I know you mentioned a few today, if you said, okay, to the audience out there who says, I want to learn more about this, I'm going to follow Mischelle on Instagram, maybe get in contact with her, but is there any outside reading? Would you say there's a certain specific book that you would say for most people who are lay people on this topic could go to get started?
Oh, if you want to really work on muscle testing, you could read Applied Kinesiology. I mean, that's going to teach you about muscle testing. But the biggest part of about everything I do too, like I said, is like having integrity, that is big. You have to have I don't know if you have to have the unconditional love, but you have to have that passion. You have to care about people. And another big thing is, and it's an old book, but hospitals still use it. It's called the Heart Math Solution. It's about how powerful your heart, the electromagnetic field of your heart is 5,000 times more powerful than your brain. They always said the brain runs your body. And before that, they figured out your heart does, but then the brain, and your heart has its own neuronal system, neurons. And I just think the power of the heart and unconditional love, that is huge in what I do.
When you look at like anybody's mental or physical health, so much of it has to do with who we surround ourselves with. Are we in contact with people who love us? Are we giving love to other people? Are we experiencing love back? Are we around people who we love, understand, respect, and appreciate? I mean, that has such a massive impact on longevity, quality of life, our mental health, our emotional health. So it makes sense. I remember when we talked back in December, you made a comment, because I wrote it down, the heart is bigger than the brain. And that stuck with me. Because it's not just how we take care of our hearts physically, exercise, eating right, things like that, but it's also the love we share and the experiences we have with people and the positive experiences. I have fought over the last 4 or 5 years now with as little judgment as my feeble human brain can handle or can give, is without judgment or malice anyway, is to detoxify myself from certain people, just completely distancing myself from people who throughout my life have been toxic. But, when you're kind of that boiled frog, you sometimes don't notice the toxicity of other people. And perhaps I was toxic to them too. But there was a toxicity in the relationship, and just separating myself from that and now bringing in people into my world and existence that are just very nourishing, we are nourishing for each other, has made a major impact on my physical, emotional, and mental and professional health. And I know it's kind of what you're talking about, is I'm feeling more love. I'm experiencing more. I'm giving more love. I'm feeling more love, not just from people, I'm feeling it toward people, and even people who are strangers to me. I just feel more empathy for others than I ever did in my life. And I think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, I don't get sick often, knock on wood, physically sick. It's been a couple, I think I was sick last year, 2 years ago in the Super Bowl, I think it was, but I had vertigo. But I don't get sick, physically sick. And of course, my grandson, my 4-year-old, is sick today. I feel so bad because he's like, he never gets sick either, but he's sick, and I was with him on Saturday, so I'm knocking on a lot of wood today that I didn't catch it. But so I think that does matter. I think I can attribute my overall improvement in life over the past 4 years on just being surrounded by people who I have a general heartfelt connection with. Whether it's friends, family, clients, whoever it might be, has made a big difference.
Right. Yeah. Well, and you know what? We attract people on our energy level too. Mm-hmm. So if we're more positive and happy, well, and you know what? But genuine, like kids. I teach at schools, and I don't know, these kids just come, and I love kids, and I'm genuine and I'm firm, but one day I went out to recess, and I've been at the school, and this kid came up to me and hugged me and followed me around. And I don't remember his name. I don't remember meeting him. But you know what? Kids and dogs don't lie. That energy, that genuine. And what kind of genuine energy do we put out? That's what we ideally are going to attract in our world. Or I'll go somewhere and I'm going to be me. I just experienced this the other day, and I was volunteering, and this is kind of this grumpy guy, and he was pretty much grumpy the whole time. And I was just me. And I think many times when people come in contact with my positivity and they're not happy, that they don't know why they don't like me. They're threatened by my energy. They don't want to be happy. They want to complain. And that's okay. They can complain. I'm not going to go, oh yeah, that sucks, because I don't do that, but we attract that too, though. Yeah. What do we subconsciously put out? People feel it. They may not be able to tell you why, but man, they feel it.
100%. It's funny. I think a lot of times people, when you're positive, and I think whenever you're doing something good in life, whether you're succeeding in something, whether it's your positivity, financial, whatever, it doesn't matter. When people judge you based on that, or they feel uncomfortable around you, I don't think it's you that they're uncomfortable. I think a lot of times when we do things that are good, or the subtitle of this podcast is "Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things." So when you're doing something extraordinary at that moment, a lot of times when people see you, they don't see you and judge you. I think they see a mirror, and they question why they're not doing it. And I think it's subconscious, but I think, why can't I be that way? Why am I not doing that? Why am I failing? When that person's super positive, why can't I feel that way right now? Or why don't I feel that way? I think it's a mirror, and it reflects back to them what they're not at that moment exhibiting in their lives.
Right. And I think some people enjoy being crabby. Like, they enjoy complaining, and they want someone to chime in and, oh yeah, I know that sucks. It's funny. I'll go somewhere and people go, God, the weather just sucks. And I go, but God, it makes everything. The trees look so gorgeous. I'm like, my freaking plane was delayed again. And I go, but you know what? Probably saved your life because it was mechanical.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Finally, they just walk away. I go, I'm not going to see negative. I don't see negative. So
one of the things that pisses my clients out, or my friends off the most, is when they're bitching about Michigan weather. And I'm like, you've lived here for 50, 60 years. You know this is coming every single winter. Right. Either move or lay in your misery, or make the best of it, because it is. I mean, it was cold. With wind chill, it's a -17 here today, and it was windy. And I didn't want to go, snowshoe ruck the trail this morning. But when I got out there, once I got my snowshoes on, I got my ruck vest on, I got in the woods. Of course, my feet were instantly cold. I just looked around and said, this is beautiful. There had been nobody on the trail yet. The groomer hadn't even come and rolled it yet. It was just like, 3 or 4 more, or probably 4 or 5 inches of fresh snow on top of a groomed trail, and just no tracks in front of me. And it was like, that is gorgeous. And now, as I told you before we started recording, I got home, I took my second shower of the day, and my second shower is always just to warm up, because I've been so cold coming out of the woods. The sun came out. So we got a little bit of blue sky. I mean, now there's people go, it's kind of pretty out there, but it's pretty when it's storming, man. We had another storm last night. Schools are closed again today, but you wake up and you hear that wind. You look out and the snow is blowing. Now, granted, if you have to travel in that, it is not fun. It can be at least it's very challenging, and I'm always nervous when my loved ones are traveling in this, but it's still gorgeous. It was beautiful. Everything looked clean outside. It's all fresh.
So. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Always a silver lining.
Hey, I like this. This is my favorite question, and this is a question. If I come down over to Wisconsin with my time machine today, and we jump in it, and you go back to any time you want, Mischelle, when you were younger, when you sat down on the park bench and talked to your younger self, what words of wisdom would you share?
Don't overthink. Just enjoy. Don't overthink. Yeah, because so many times I've overthought things and thought less of myself, and just be a good person and I'll take care of everything.
Be a good person. That's one of those really simple things. And, I shared this with you on the phone, I think a couple of weeks ago, that every year I do a mantra or a theme for the year. It's kind of like my bat signal, and it just guides me through the year. And I typically change it, keeping in mind my previous ones. I don't want to drop those either. But this year, I always frame it on my desk. It's just be a good man. Be a good man. And it takes me about 3 months every year to come up with next year's theme. And I always start off with some ideas, and then they start molding and they grow in my head. And they usually come to me while I'm doing something physical. And it finally came. It wasn't even anything about this. And one day it just said, be a good man, because that encompasses so many things,
Yeah.
And I say, when you have a question, if you have a doubt or 3 or 4 options in life or something to, if you have 3 or 4 options on what to do at any given moment, which one is going to honor my be a good man theme? And which ones are going to dishonor it? It makes the choices so much easier.
Right. Absolutely.
I think the overthinking thing I think that's a big problem for so many people. And I don't think I'm an overthinker. I think I'm a person who gets very stimulated easily, overstimulated. And so I probably keep myself away from situations that cause me that kind of strife where I have to overthink. But I know a lot of people I work with on a daily basis, a lot of people I love and care for, have that problem where they overthink so much, and it can rob you of a lot of beautiful moments. That we're in at that time. Like you said, be present.
Yeah, and go with your gut, man.
Go with your
gut.
Don't
ever ask someone.
Yeah.
Don't ever ask someone for an opinion. If you think it isn't right, it's not. I tell people, if a mom will ask me something, I go, what do you think? I go, I'm not saying a word. You go with your gut. You know your child the most, like a mom-child thing. Go, no, you just go with your gut, because, man, if I would have did that my whole life, I wouldn't have broken my leg, but I was supposed to break my leg, because I went, well, what if? And I don't do that. Now I listen. If somebody wanted to go walking the other day and I said, I can't go. My gut is telling me no. And I'm not going to say, what do you think? I'm not going. And they didn't care. I just love it. I go with my gut.
Yeah. I like what you just said, though. You've said this 3 or 4 times, is I was supposed to break my leg. And I want to just speak to that person out there right now who's going through something, or maybe recently did go through something and it's still haunting them. That's a really good thing, a good phrase in your head. I was supposed to go through that. I'm supposed to be going through this. And then from there, when you phrase it that way, rather than why am I going through this? Why me? When you phrase it, I was supposed to go through this, then I think you automatically come up with learnings. Well, okay, if I'm supposed to go through this, why was I supposed to go through this? What am I supposed to get out of this? And I think that kind of leads to that question. And then from there, you find the lining in the cloud.
Well, and I knew the whole time there was something. You're right. And I finally went, okay, God, I know you wanted me to go through this, right? And then at like 12 weeks, when I went in and I was fully healed, that's when it went, that's why. To me, it was like to help others realize you can, why can't you heal quick? When I said somebody like an ACL, someone goes, no, it takes longer to heal a ligament. So I Googled that, because I'm like, well, maybe, I don't know. No, it probably takes a femur, maybe a little longer. But it doesn't matter, because we can, in our brain, people just limit themselves. Infinite possibilities in this world. If we could just realize how powerful our brains are. And you know what? We read these books about And when people say, this is hard, and my twin brother's at a new job, he's like, these are hard things that I have to learn, and I don't even go there anymore. I'm like, nah, you just say they're hard. They don't have to be hard. It's a lesson. Quit saying they're hard.
Right.
The more we say something's hard, then you know what? That subconscious doesn't know right from wrong. So it's going to honor what you think and say, and it's going to bring you hard stuff. Or I get sick. I used to be allergic to bee stings. You know what? No, I went to Nashville a few years ago. I got stung by a bee, and I said, I'm not having a reaction. And I didn't. But I used to say, oh, my God, I have this big reaction. And everything, and oh, my God, it gets all swollen. And it does, because it honored that. Seriously, that was another thing I went through, and I didn't have a reaction. Like the little red spot. But usually my whole hand blows up. But I believed it.
Right.
That brain is so powerful.
It's incredible. I remember for most of my life, not most, I would say maybe 15 years, but just the last 15 years, maybe 20, when I would get sick, I would just do everything I was going to do, even if when I wasn't sick. So I'd get up and do the same routine, maybe with a little less energy. And I would just say, I'm just going to, and what I found is I would be sick for a day and it would go away. Nope. I'm not saying you shouldn't take care of yourself, lay in bed and rest. I'm just saying this is what worked for me. But if I would have laid in bed and said, oh, I'm so sick, I feel awful, I need some soups and this, the next day I would be just as sick. I would improve maybe a little bit. Now I've noticed there's been a couple times I can't fight through it. Like maybe 2 years ago when I was sick, it was vertigo. I couldn't fight through it. I just had to just kind of lie down, and if I got up, I'd get dizzy and throw up. But it was a day, and I was over it. But mostly, if I just say I'm just going to do what I normally would do, and it's going to be a little harder. But the next day, I feel almost 100% again. And it doesn't work every time, but it works most of the time. At least for me, anecdotally, it did.
Right. Well, yeah, and there you just have to. I don't know. I would. Just let it go. Just say, you know what? That's where I tell people, kids, whatever, let it go. Just go. When I broke my leg, I am going to heal in 12 weeks. And I let it go. And I did everything that came to my brain. I trained for 3 hours a day. Was working? I was working within a week, but I can still use my mouth and say, okay, do this, this, and this,
right.
And train virtually. But let it go. Like, okay, say, nope, I'm feeling 100% and I will continue to feel better, but you got to believe it. And when you believe it and you don't think of anything, I hope. I always say, I don't hope, I don't wish, I intend. I know, and it's happening right now. When you manifest things, I continue to get better right now. If you tell that brain, I'm going to get better, then your brain goes, yep, someday you will, because it's in the future. You say, I am getting better right now. And thank you. And just believe it and let it go. You don't have to keep manifesting. You don't have to say a mantra, nothing. You say it, you believe it, and you move on. It's that easy.
It's that easy. Before I ask the final question, what do you think of, you've talked about energy, and we're all just energy, and really everything is energy to some degree, I guess, if not to 100%. But one of the things I share with my clients is if we are nothing but energy, which we are, and we are communicating, whether it's text, email, phone, face-to-face, Zoom, whatever it is. We are simply exchanging energy back and forth. My words, my expressions, my tone of voice is all a form of energy. And when we communicate, we're only exchanging energy. And another thing, energy is never neutral. It's either positive or negative. So one of the things I share in communication, because we talk about love, you talk about the importance of love. And so I think love is oftentimes expressed through communication, obviously. And so what I share with my clients who come across to their employees or their clients or their teammates or family as like not caring or maybe grumpy or whatever, disrespectful, I tell them you're probably going into a conversation with people. You're probably assuming that conversation is neutral, which it can't be neutral because it's an exchange of energy, and energy is positive or negative. Therefore,
why is it positive or negative?
Because there's no such thing as neutral energy. Energy can never be neutralized. It's always positive or negative. It's like a light switch. It's on or off. There's never neutral.
But I mean, what do you mean by like positive emotions? Like I think that
just energy itself as a physical form in an exchange.
Like the ions, you mean?
Yeah. So if we're only exchanging energy, then because you think about every conversation you have, you walk away we might not notice it because it may be so subtle or subconscious, but the conversation is always, we either perceive it as positive or negative. Even a hello, the tone of voice, or the mood you were in when you received it, the mood that the person is in when they said it, or whatever, your brain perceives it as positive or negative. It just does. But it's subconscious a lot of times. And so if you go, what's that?
Okay.
So, all right, it's the truth. I'm just telling you I'm just talking about through communication. And so when you go in a conversation without the intent to make it positive, and positive doesn't mean just saying nice, positive things. Sometimes positive is maybe when you have to give someone a reprimand, but you say it in a way that they believe they're worthy of being better and you believe in them. So you're not going and just belittling them. So it doesn't always have to be a positive conversation to be perceived as positive by the recipient. And I think that when we go into conversations with just this, I'm just talking to someone, or I'm simply just having a conversation, and you think of it as neutral, or you go in preparing it for it to be neutral, that person is still going to perceive it a certain way, and it won't be neutral. Most of the time, if you go in with a neutral intent, the other person perceives it as negative. And whether it is or not, it's just their perception of the negativity. So what I try to tell my clients is walk into every communication and conversation with the desire to show love or understanding or respect or appreciation for very basic human needs. And if you go into that with that, most of the time they're going to walk away feeling good about the conversation, and they're going to feel that you care about them, or that you see them as a human versus just someone who's in the way from their in the way of the progress of a busy day. So.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're communicating with your you call them clients or patients?
Clients.
When you go in go into a conversation with them, how do you do you do anything beforehand in preparation to when you go into that conversation to make sure that person walks away just feeling a little bit better about them, having a little bit of more increase in sense of self-worth because of that conversation or session with you?
I'm always positive, and we're just exercising and talking about, I guess, I'm just always positive, or I'm honest, but I'm never mean. Everything comes from a good place with me. But sometimes I have to be like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
So sometimes sometimes I'm assuming you have to give them some pretty tough feedback if you really want to help them, or does that seem to help? I
don't ever have to give them. No, I don't give them tough feedback. I guess, I don't know, because I feel like I don't give them tough feedback because I've never really had someone that really needed it. And I find that it's very damaging to give them something that's so detrimental because, first of all, they're not ready for it anyways, if it's that negative, and it's going to put them in a tailspin versus help them. And I find if I want to help someone, I have to be honest, but I have to be aware of where they are at mentally. And if I say something that's so, I'm never saying negative or positive, that's so detrimental to where they're at, that's not going to help them. And when they're mentally ready, then I'll say it. But I won't say it because it's not good for them.
Well, what if they're doing something that's harming their progress? Like they're doing something consistently, it's just harming their progress, and they don't really, they're not listening, or they're not heeding your counsel.
They know what they're doing. They just don't want to change.
Okay.
They know, and so they know what they're doing. So I don't have to tell them, they know, and they'll tell me. They go, I know I'm supposed to be doing this, but I'm not. And I go, okay, so I don't have to say, so you understand this is going to stop. They do, so I don't have to tell them. They already know that they are messing up their, but they're okay. It's a process for them. They know that not everyone is like perhaps super driven and wants it right now. And, and that's okay. Their priority maybe is their children or their grandchildren or their career.
Yeah.
And this is just to kind of stay healthy.
Just kind of, keep being able to continue to move forward in life.
Not be a superstar. Yeah.
Huh, that's interesting. So with my clients, I kind of tell clients if you have one in a simple format, I tell people I'm going to be like a teacher, I'm going to be like a motivator, I'm going to be a thumb breaker, and it's going to depend on what you want or what you need. And what I find, I said, I don't like to be the thumb breaker. I don't want to have to help you hold yourself accountable. I don't want to have those deep, difficult conversations. But do you want me to? If the time comes, and they all say yes, of course, but then I can kind of sense down the road the ones that really love it. They thrive on, knowing that I'll kind of push them right back on track if they get off. And of course, it's not harming. Like it's not belittling them. It's just very loving. Never used to be. It
Right.
used to be hard. There was a time, Mischelle, when I was a district manager, I don't even know where I was with the company. I was in the corporate world. And every Friday, I would do 10 one-on-ones with my team. I think I had 40 people. So everybody got a one-on-one every week. It was like 30 minutes. And in one Friday, I'm 26 years old at the time. I'm young. Most of the people working for me were older than I am. And in one particular Friday, I made 3 people cry in one-on-ones. Now, I'm not saying this to brag. I'll come around to that. And one was another man, a little older than I am. And I got to the leadership meeting that afternoon, and word had gotten around. And our vice president said, "Good job, you had a hat trick today." And there was a badge of honor for being very brutally honest in that culture, and I wore it with pride at that young age. And it wasn't until I started my business and, when I was 29 and I still had that kind of mentality, like I'm going to get in my client's face, blah, 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 and it just wore me down. Like I was just like mentally and emotionally and physically worn down from playing that role of just the thumb breaker, And finally, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to be much more gentle when the need comes to have difficult conversations. I'm going to learn how to communicate more effectively. And all of a sudden, it became a lot easier to do my job. That's a wearing thing,
Yeah.
especially in a culture that, that propagates and promotes based on that kind of thing. So I do like the more gentle approach, especially as I've gotten older. Maybe having, kids and raising kids and having grandkids has made a big difference too, but I don't know.
I think just energy wise, it sounds like there'd be so much negative energy. I just, I just
Well,
don't do that. I'm not mean to people. I'm not, and I am very cognizant of feelings and, that would just, I've never been that way though. I've never been one to make people cry.
No, I can't stand it. I don't like to watch people cry on TV.
I just would, just sad.
I know.
It's just, we don't have to do that to people,
No, I mean, it was, for me, that's probably subconsciously why I left the company 18 months later to start doing this. It was wearing. It was very wearing. And
energy drains you. And if you absorb so much, you'd be surprised. You'd be like, oh, wow. Yeah.
Could never do that today.
No.
So my last question, this is kind of a net that kind of catches anything I might have missed. So for the talk we've had today so far, Mischelle, is there any question that I didn't ask that you kind of wish I would have? Or is there any kind of one final message you want to leave with the Bamboo Pack?
There's one thing everyone can do to make the world a better place. Anyone can do it anywhere. You think from your heart, you put your hand on your heart, and you just think from your heart, because that's going to change how you think. It's going to make you think differently, kinder, and you can send unconditional love to everyone. And you know what? Maybe people will feel it or not, but you'd be surprised how great it makes you feel being genuinely kind. And having more love in the world will change the world.
Amen to that. I wrote that down. Put your hand on your heart and think. Oof. I love that. That's a great way for us to wrap up. When I prepared to talk to you today, I figured we were going to have a good conversation. I just love the style of your content and the way you communicate it to the world. And this is fun. I learned a lot today. Like I learned a lot of things that I think, okay, I need to do that differently. I'd like to work on that a little bit, or, oh, that's a really good idea. That last one was a great one. And really, what I got out of the major thing I got out of today was what you said is I was supposed to go through this. Like that's going to help me so immensely. And even the things that I've been, mourning over the last several months, or, some of the pain I have felt emotionally, I can now use that so well. And I know there are people out there that are going to walk away and say, that's what I got out of the hour that I spent with Mischelle today. The people are that's going to be a number one, I think, response for a lot of people, is that's what they got. Because that's an incredibly powerful lesson. It really is.
That's awesome. Thank you.
I was supposed to go through this. And what was the other thing? Our belief. Oh my gosh.
Just the unconditional.
Our belief defines our world? Or wait, I have such bad handwriting. I'll go back and listen to it, because that was another one.
Go back and listen.
You have to. All right. So folks, go to Neuro-Based Learning, Neuro-Based Training on Instagram. Check it out. Follow Mischelle. Reach out to her if you have questions or want to, talk with her, get some information, hire her, whatever you want to do, because this is good stuff. And I've had people who are in the health industry, fitness industry before. This is the most holistic guest I've ever brought on, who really sees, I believe, how the mind and body work in conjunction with each other. There's a lot more causation than just correlation, and between the brain and the heart, the body. This is good stuff, folks. This is changing stuff. So my dear new friend, Mischelle, over the past month or so, thank you for being such an amazing guest on the Bamboo Lab podcast.
Oh, thank you. And hey, I'm Neuro-Based Training on Facebook too, as a business page.
Okay, folks, look. Yeah, I don't think I'm following that yet. I'll be following you today. So Facebook and LinkedIn, or Facebook and Instagram, folks. Neuro-Based Training. Everyone, thank you for tuning in this week. This was a great time. I got an hour and 15 minutes of record time that I learned a lot. Took another page of notes. I hope you all did too. If you listen to us while you're driving or working out, what I would suggest you do is go back, listen to it again with a pad of paper and a pen. Please, everybody, hit that subscribe button if you like. Rate and review us. Maybe share it with 3 or 4 people you love. In the meantime, I'll talk to you, I think, in maybe a couple of weeks. I don't think we have a show scheduled for next week, but I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, please get out there and strive to just be your best. Show love and respect to others and to yourself. And please try to live with passion and purpose. I appreciate each and every single one of you.